You wake up in a new world, drenched in sterile light and the scent of ozone. Your head pounds with confusion, and as your vision sharpens, you see yourself in the reflection of a curved glass wall. You look exactly the same face, same body, but something is horribly different. A countdown, etched in pale blue digits, glows above your head. It reads, 00 years, 01 month, 13 days. The people around you walk with robotic purpose, youthful yet joyless, each bearing their own glowing timer. None of them seem older than 25, and that is when it hits you. No one here survives beyond 30. This is not a metaphor. This is not a game. You are in the year 2095, a near future where a global catastrophe has made it biologically impossible to live beyond the age of 30. Gene therapy, once meant to extend life, has backfired, corrupting DNA on a cellular level. Aging has been rewired. The moment a person reaches 30 years and 0 days, their body collapses from accelerated multi-organ failure, as if a timer has gone off inside their veins. There is no warning, no cure, no mercy. You are not here to fix it. You are here to live it. You are a traveler from our present day, sent into this fractured future as part of an experiment. But you were sent here at 25, and that gives you just 5 years to understand, adapt, and survive in a civilization that has already decided your expiration date. Society has reshaped itself around this brutal truth, and no part of your modern life prepares you for what awaits. Because this is not just about dying young. It is about living in a world that never grows old, where childhood is rushed, wisdom never arrives, and every ambition must be crushed into a narrow window of time. This world is unforgiving, mechanical, and impatient. It does not have time for reflection, history, or hesitation, and neither do you. You might think 5 years is enough. It is not, because the clock is already ticking. And in this world, 30 is not old. 30 is extinction. So how did humanity reach this nightmare? To understand why you will not survive here, we need to rewind just a few decades to the moment it all began. The year is 2089. After decades of incremental breakthroughs in genetics and cellular rejuvenation, humanity stands at the brink of conquering death. CRISP-based gene edits have become routine, and bioenhancements are administered to children before they are even born. Life expectancy is projected to reach 130 years, but then it happens. An experimental longevity therapy named Eterna-21, designed to permanently stop cellular aging, is administered globally. It is not a luxury, it becomes a requirement. Governments roll out the therapy as part of a sweeping immortality mandate, aiming to control overpopulation and maximize the workforce. But deep within the therapy's genetic algorithm lies a dormant flaw. The moment an individual reaches the biological age of 30, a built-in apoptosis sequence activates, triggering irreversible shutdown of the body's major systems. Panic erupts, but the effect is already universal. The modified gene code spreads like wildfire, passed on through generations. Within a few years, every child born carries the built-in timer. Scientists try to reverse it, but every attempt leads to catastrophic side effects, early organ failure, or rapid mutation. Within a decade, all hope of restoring a normal lifespan is gone. Society adapts, but at a cost no one is willing to speak aloud. It is now 2095, In this new world, time is the most sacred and cruel currency. You, a time traveler sent by an undisclosed agency, arrive with no tools, no contacts, and no immunity to this biological countdown. Your body, despite being from the past, begins to synchronize with this reality's rules. Your clock has already started ticking. You are now just a few years from your programmed death. You step into a society built for youth, and youth alone. The architecture is compact, optimized for individuals who will never experience old age. Hospitals no longer house geriatrics because there are none. Pensions, retirements, anniversaries beyond 30, they do not exist. Every career, relationship, and dream is packed into a narrow sprint from age 5 to 29. People smile less, laugh less, live faster. Joy is efficient, grief is compressed, and love is an algorithm. You feel the difference immediately. At 25, you are already considered mid-aged, bordering on obsolete. In this timeline, those younger than 20 see you as slow, risk-averse, emotionally clumsy. You are tolerated, not respected. The culture is not malicious, but entirely indifferent to the idea of age. The very concept of elder is extinct. The words grandparent, mentor, legacy, they have lost all meaning. You wander through sleek cities designed for perpetual youth. Every advertisement, every screen, every career path is built around those under 25. Pharmacies no longer sell anti-aging creams, but cognitive enhancers to speed up childhood learning. Schools are integrated into workplace hubs by age 8. By 12, you are expected to know your role in society. By 15, you are either thriving or discarded. In this world, every second matters, and you have already wasted too many. To truly understand why you will not survive here, you must see how this world starts life at full speed. Because in this future, childhood is not a time of innocence. It is the start of your career, your burden, and your countdown. The air outside smells like something artificial, too clean to be real. Neon pathways crisscross through towering megastructures, and on every street, children no older than 6 or 7 walk with briefcases, talk into neural wristbands, and exchange biometric data with machines that barely look at them. They are dressed in sleek uniforms, their eyes scanning with a kind of wariness that should belong to someone much older. As you watch, a girl, maybe 7, steps onto a transit platform, taps a retinal scanner, and disappears into a capsule train without once glancing back. She is going to her workplace, not daycare, not school, her job. In this society, the idea of childhood as we know it has been annihilated. There are no jungle gyms, no cartoons, no bedtime stories. Children are expected to walk, talk, compute, and produce within the first few years of life. The new education system is not about learning through play. It is a neural upload sequence delivered through brain-enhancing implants, beginning as early as age 2. By 3, kids are literate. By 4, they are absorbing quantum physics and AI protocols. At 5, they are being interviewed for government task units or private sector projects. Failure to excel means forced reassignment to low-value roles, which almost always guarantees a short, disposable life. You enter a learning sector, hoping to see something familiar. What you find is chilling. Rows of translucent pods hold toddlers hooked to learning matrices, their eyes twitching rapidly under closed lids. Their dreams are algorithmically optimized for knowledge absorption. Instructors monitor them not for care or comfort, but for neural response time, data retention, and prediction accuracy. Children here are judged not by innocence, but by utility. Playgrounds exist, but only in simulation. Real physical play is seen as a waste of precious minutes. Every interaction, even between children, is strategic. Social development is structured and gamified, with microcredits awarded for persuasive conversation, team leadership, and conflict avoidance. Emotional outbursts are flagged and penalized. A child who cries too often is referred for neurological adjustment therapy. There is no room for softness, only performance. You pass through a youth integration sector, a massive industrial district run entirely by individuals under the age of 10. The machines are automated, but human oversight is required to ensure creative efficiency. You see a 9-year-old supervising a logistics AI, directing drone flows with precision that would impress any adult from your time. Her face is blank. She does not look at you. You are irrelevant to her progress report. By the time children reach the age of 10, they are functionally adults in every sense. They vote in localized civic councils. They manage municipal data grids. They lead research collectives. Romantic connections begin as early as age 12, though they are rarely emotional and almost always contractual. The idea of being too young for anything no longer exists. Every year matters, and by age 15, you are expected to have already completed your secondary education and entered into service. If you are not useful by that point, you are considered a burden to the system and may be reassigned to labor zones with no upward mobility. As a traveler from another time, this world feels deeply unnatural. You attempt to speak to a group of children waiting for a transport capsule. One of them, a boy no older than 8, interrupts you to say, "Please optimize your language output. Your syntax is slow." The rest nod in silent agreement before walking away. You are not inspiring awe or curiosity. You are outdated. You are inefficient. You are old. What is missing most in this childhood is joy. No laughter rings through the plazas. No imagination draws castles in the clouds. There are no birthday parties, no sleepovers, no moments of wonder. Everything is programmed, time-boxed, and tracked. Emotional bonding is considered an inefficient distraction unless it strengthens group cohesion or increases intellectual yield. What breaks your heart most is not just the pressure these children face, but the way they have normalized it. They do not feel robbed. They have never known a world where growing up took time to them. The idea of a leisurely childhood is an ancient myth, like dragons or magic. When one of them asks you, "Why did people waste so much time being children?" you cannot answer. Because in this world, there is no space for becoming. You are either already something, or you are discarded before you ever get the chance to be. But if this is how life begins, what happens to the wisdom we once gained from age and experience? In a world where 30 is the limit, there are no elders to teach, to lead, or to remember. And what that leaves behind is far more dangerous than ignorance. It is a future with no memory. As you move deeper into this strange future, you begin to feel the weight of absence. Not the absence of people, but of presence, of elders, mentors, guides, those who have lived long enough to know how to steer the storm. The city around you is teeming with life, young and driven, but something essential is missing. There are no gray hairs, no wrinkled faces, no tired yet wise eyes that have seen wars, births, mistakes, and rebirths. There are no elders here, because none have survived long enough to become one. In our world, the elderly hold a sacred, if sometimes undervalued, place. They are the memory keepers, the bearers of hard-earned truths, the ones who can warn us of what history tends to repeat. But in this future, wisdom is extinct. No human lives long enough to accumulate it. No one remembers what life was like decades ago, because no one has lived through decades. The longest-lived person in the world is 29 years and 364 days old, until their body collapses in programmed failure the moment the clock turns to 30. Without long-term memory, society has become short-sighted, reactive, and volatile. Governance is dictated by youth panels who barely remember global events from 5 years ago. Entire industries are managed by people who never experienced the world before the lifespan limit took hold. Culture resets itself every generation, not by design, but by necessity. There is no continuity, no tradition. Every value, every belief, every system is constantly being reinvented by those too young to understand the consequences of their predecessors' mistakes. You visit what used to be a library district. It has been converted into an AI archive center. Books have been digitized and compressed into cold, searchable databases. But the wisdom within them is misunderstood, taken out of context, or disregarded entirely. The people here do not learn from history. They skim it. Data is abundant, but meaning is absent. When you ask about ancient philosophers, revolutions, or wars, the archivist, a 22-year-old curator, shrugs. Those were pre-reset, she says. We do not rely on pre-30 logic. It lacks applicability. Pre-30 logic. That is how they view your entire worldview as irrelevant. Mentorship. Once the bridge between generations no longer exists, there is no older hand to guide the younger. No transfer of skills. Only isolated bursts of innovation followed by societal burnout. Technology, while advanced, is disjointed. Systems are rebuilt rather than maintained. An algorithm might be created by a 17-year-old genius and then abandoned when they die at 30, never documented well enough for anyone else to pick it up. Breakthroughs are lost as often as they are made. Human civilization becomes a loop of rediscovery, where the same wheels are reinvented every 20 years by new minds who do not know they already exist. You enter a public learning plaza where children in their early teens are discussing theoretical science. The conversation is brilliant, fast, and confident, but it lacks caution. They theorize wildly, propose societal rewrites, dismiss ethics as a relic of the past. You realize these young minds are not anchored by anything. There is no elder presence to warn, to challenge, to stabilize. Their ambition has no guardrails, and without the balance of wisdom, knowledge becomes dangerous. In places where elders once taught about resilience, compromise, and patience, there is now only a cold efficiency. Disputes are settled algorithmically. Emotions are seen as flaws to be corrected, not experiences to be understood. Art has shifted into rapid, consumable formats. Long-form literature is gone, replaced by ultra-short fiction digestible in 30 seconds. The very concept of legacy is meaningless. No one has the time to build one. You find yourself aching for the presence of someone older than you, someone who remembers how it used to be. But there is no one. Everyone you meet is younger, faster, sharper, but hollow. Their eyes are full of calculation, but no reflection. They know how to act, but not why. They can build, but they do not understand what it means to sustain. You ask someone if they miss the wisdom of the old. They blink at you. We do not miss what we never needed, they say. But that is the greatest illusion of this world, that you can thrive without memory, that progress is possible without experience. The cost of losing the elder generation is more than emotional. It is the loss of caution, of culture, of context. Without it, this civilization is brilliant and brittle, advanced and fragile. One unexpected global disruption, a natural disaster, a solar storm, a viral AI could erase everything, because no one would remember how to respond. No one has the long view anymore. They are building towers on sand with no foundation, and no one left alive who knows how deep to dig. And so, with no elders to learn from and no childhood to grow in, what becomes of the family? In this future, even the most sacred human bond is torn apart and reconstructed. Because when no one lives long enough to raise their own child, the very meaning of family begins to disappear. You walk past what you assume to be a residential sector. The buildings are compact, modular, and eerily quiet. From the outside, they resemble high-tech dormitories more than homes. Inside, you expect to find traces of personal life, photos, toys, mess, the echoes of family meals. Instead, you find sterile units, each optimized for single occupants, occasionally shared by algorithmic pairings. You begin to realize the horrifying truth. Families, as you know them, no longer exist. The collapse of the family structure began almost immediately after the lifespan crisis took root. Once it became clear that no one would live beyond 30, the old model of family, parents raising children, elders supporting generations, became unfeasible. A child born to parents in their 20s would be orphaned before turning 10. Generational parenting could not function. Grandparents, aunts, uncles vanished in a single generational sweep. Without longevity, the emotional investment required to build and nurture a traditional family eroded. And with that erosion came a systemic overhaul. In 2095, childbirth is no longer biological. It is institutional. Reproduction is handled by a vast global birthing infrastructure where fertilized embryos are genetically selected and grown in artificial wombs. Parents are chosen not by love or accident, but by data. An AI assigns pairings based on genetic potential, emotional compatibility scores, and contribution to the state's demographic needs. Once a child is born, they are not given to the parents. Instead, they are integrated into cohesion pods, government top-rated units of 5 to 8 similarly aged children raised together by rotating care synths, semi-sentient machines programmed to ensure optimal behavioral outcomes. There are no lullabies, no bedtime stories, only schedules, calibrations, and performance tracking. You enter one of these facilities. The walls are lined with stimulation panels, interactive surfaces designed to teach language, math, ethics, and collaboration. The children, aged between 3 and 7, move through the space with the precision of adult workers. When one child trips and falls, the others pause, not in empathy, but in confusion. A care synth glides forward, lifting the child gently and logging the error. There is no comforting, no scolding, just data collection. Love has been streamlined out of the system. Ask anyone here about their parents, and they will blink, unsure of how to answer. Biological connections are logged in state databases, accessible upon request, but there is no societal expectation to pursue them. Emotional attachments are discouraged beyond pod units. Why? Because the grief of losing someone at 30 is too destabilizing. Love that deep becomes a liability. Bonds are meant to be temporary, efficient, and breakable. Family, once the core of human existence, is now a memory wiped from cultural code. There are no family holidays, no generational dinners, no birthdays celebrated beyond early childhood. Celebrations are reserved for milestone achievements: first work placement, first cognitive spike, first leadership module completed. Life is measured by output, not belonging. You feel this in every room, every corridor. The warmth is gone. The joy of being part of something larger than yourself, gone. Everyone belongs to a system, not to each other. Even the concept of marriage has changed. It exists only as a strategic contract. Romantic pairings are optimized by AI and last only for a fixed duration, typically 5 years or less. Partnerships are built on resource sharing, task efficiency, and reproductive scheduling. Emotional compatibility is a bonus, not a requirement. Children born from these unions are immediately turned over to the system. No one raises their own. You attempt to speak with a woman around 20, part of an economic logistics pod. You ask her if she ever knew her mother. She frowns, then shrugs. "I have her genetic profile," she says. But emotional bonds are outdated. They limit independence. You ask if she ever wonders what a family would feel like. She pauses, then gives you a strange look. "I do not need to wonder." That is what cohesion simulations are for. A nearby wall lights up, showing a virtual family dinner, complete with laughter and warmth. But it is all scripted, rehearsed, fake. In this future, the instinct to nurture still exists, but it is redirected. Individuals invest in projects, collectives, causes, but the deep-rooted human need for kinship has been amputated. The cycle of parents teaching children, of traditions passed through stories, of meals cooked with love and shared in fading light, none of that survived the deadline of 30. And so, you walk out of the pod facility feeling heavier, not from sorrow alone, but from the haunting realization that in this world, people are no longer raised, they are processed, formatted, released into a machine that does not need families, just function. If childhood is a rush and family is obsolete, how does this hyper-efficient world keep running? The answer lies in the breakneck pace of its economy, where productivity is king and burnout is destiny. The moment you step into one of the economic megahubs, the hum of relentless movement surrounds you. It is not noise in the traditional sense. It is rhythm, precise, synchronized, tireless. Every screen flashes with metrics, forecasts, and workforce schedules. Every person moves with purpose, guided by real-time updates fed directly into their ocular implants. Welcome to the economic engine of 2095, where time is not just money, it is mortality. In this world where no one lives beyond 30, the economy has evolved, or devolved, into a hyper-accelerated pressure cooker. Careers begin before the age of 10 and end well before 29. The idea of a career ladder has been replaced with what they call the production sprint. Individuals are categorized by cognitive and kinetic aptitudes in their preteen years, and by 15, they are fully embedded in the workforce. They do not job hunt. They are assigned, scored, and rotated based on value output. You observe a financial transaction center run entirely by individuals aged between 12 and 24. Algorithms monitor their mental processing speeds and shift them from desk to desk based on minute-to-minute productivity spikes. No one has an office. No one stays in one role for more than a few months. Flexibility is mandatory. Specialization is risky. If your brain slows down, even slightly, you are reassigned to a less desirable role. If you hit a slump twice, your contract is terminated. And in this world, termination means you are left to count down your final years without purpose, status, or support. There is no retirement, no pension plans. The concept is obsolete. No one survives long enough to need it. Instead, your life is divided into 3 phases: formation, ages 0 to 10, output 11 to 28, and departure preparation 29 to death. During the output phase, you are expected to generate value at maximum capacity. Your performance scores affect everything, from your living quarters to your access to high-calorie nutrition, from entertainment allowances to the AI assistance tier you receive. The highest performers live in ultra-connected sky sectors filled with cognitive enhancers and synthetic pleasure pods. The lowest live in communal microcells, where everything is rationed and mental stimulation is regulated to avoid non-productive wandering. You are escorted through a manufacturing dome, one of many automated factories where humans work not because machines cannot do the job, but because humans are cheaper, faster to train, and easier to discard. You see 18-year-olds managing intricate robotic assembly lines, speaking in compressed text-long, their faces lit by glowing overlays of their shift analytics. When one stumbles from fatigue, a drone appears, injecting a metabolic stimulant directly into their neck. No words are spoken. The worker straightens up and continues. Ask anyone here about vacations, and they will tilt their head as if you just said something in a dead language. Leisure exists, but it is rationed and gamified. You earn rest hours through overachievement. Some never stop working, choosing instead to cash in their rest hours for enhanced health supplements that might stave off burnout by a few extra months. This trade-off is encouraged by the state. After all, if you are dying at 30 anyway, why rest? Economic sectors operate in 2-hour pulses. Workers rotate assignments rapidly to prevent cognitive plateau. Offices have sleep booths, but they are not for rest. They are for 30-minute REM-optimized naps used to reset neurotransmitter levels. Longer sleep is discouraged. Those who need it are considered genetically inefficient. Entrepreneurship still exists, but only for the elite youth. If you can prove value creation by the age of 14, you might be allowed to start your own micro-enterprise. But success does not lead to long-term legacy. It leads to accelerated burnout. Most startup prodigies are mentally fried by 23 and physically exhausted by 25. They vanish quietly, their innovations harvested and absorbed by mega-corporate collectives. You visit one such collapsed entrepreneur, a 26-year-old former AI market pioneer. He lives in a quiet neural therapy sector, now considered post-peak. He speaks slowly, with eyes dulled by neurofatigue. I burned too hot, he says. Everyone does. The economy loves fast stars, not slow burn. When you ask what happens after his usefulness ends, he just smiles. I fade. It is not that the economy is heartless. It is that it has no time for hearts. The system is optimized to extract every drop of human potential before expiration. There is no time to reflect, to recalibrate, to find meaning in the work. Your value is your output. Your identity is your data. And when your graph starts trending downward, the system does not fire you. It forgets you. You try to imagine yourself working here, knowing you have only a few years left. The pressure is not just mental, it is spiritual. You feel your soul shrinking beneath the crushing awareness that time is not on your side, that every moment not spent producing is a moment wasted, and that by the time you figure out what you love, it will already be too late to pursue it. In a world where you are worked to the bone before 29, there is little room for deep relationships. Because when every connection comes with an expiration date, love itself becomes a casualty. As you drift through the social quarters of this world, you begin to sense an emotional drought running beneath the speed and precision of daily life. It is not that people are cold. They laugh, flirt, touch, but there is something missing, an invisible void at the center of it all. You soon understand why. In a society where no one lives past 30, love is no longer built to last. In fact, love, as you knew it, no longer exists. Gone are the ideals of growing old with someone. There are no wedding anniversaries, no lifelong partners, no silver-haired couples holding hands through the decades. Everything ends before it begins to deepen. Romance, once a slow bloom nurtured over years, has mutated into short-term compatibility contracts. Individuals pair up based on psychological metrics, libido alignment, emotional reactivity, and shared economic output. Most contracts last less than 3 years. Some are shorter, just weeks, even days. Love has become a transaction, not a journey. You observe a relationship kiosk, an open AI matchmaking booth on the edge of a public plaza. Young adults line up not to meet someone organically, but to be assigned a romantic partner for their upcoming cycle. The AI reviews stress levels, hormonal fluctuations, and emotional needs, then issues a temporary bond certificate. If both participants agree, they are given a room and a shared social quota for the duration. It is efficient, it is precise, and it is entirely devoid of magic. Children are rarely conceived out of passion. Most are planned by the state and assigned to optimal gene pairs. Emotional attachment to a partner is discouraged beyond the boundaries of the contract, and any display of intense romantic behavior is flagged as neurochemical imbalance. People still feel, but the system moves too fast to let those feelings settle into anything profound. Love is like a flash in the sky, bright, urgent, and quickly gone. You speak to a couple, young, glowing, statistically perfect for each other. They share everything from sleep schedules to diet rhythms, even synchronized dream training. But when you ask them what they love about each other, they hesitate. The woman says, "He meets my emotional expectation vector." The man nods, adding, "She reduces my existential anxiety by 38% during decompression periods." They smile, but it is not the kind of smile you would expect. It is clinical, practiced, measured. You press further, asking if they think they will stay together until the end. Their smiles dim. "We'll optimize until expiration," she says, then dissolve with grace. You try to imagine telling someone you love that your relationship ends not by fate, but by system schedule. You feel the chill of detachment creep into your own bones. There are no love songs in this world, no poetry that aches with longing. Entertainment is still filled with romance, but it is shallow, accelerated, stripped of melancholy. Love stories must end within 3 acts, always concluding with dissolution, not happily ever after. Ever after all, does not exist here. Even casual intimacy has changed. Physical relationships are common, but hollow. People touch not to connect, but to stabilize their dopamine cycles. The government provides emotional recalibration centers for those suffering from post-contract grief, where neural realignment drugs dull attachment residues. Passion is monitored because excess intensity can destabilize productivity. In this world, falling in love too deeply is considered a risk. You walk through an art museum, one of the few places left where emotion is allowed to breathe. Here, you see remnants of the past, ancient sculptures of lovers intertwined, paintings of devotion, photos of couples aging together. Teenagers walk by these relics with confusion. One boy asks, "Why did people stay with each other for so long?" Another shrugs, "They had time." And that is the core tragedy of this place. They do not have time. They do not know what it means to weather storms together, to fight and forgive, to build a life of memories that stretch over decades. They do not understand sacrifice because there is no long game. Love has become just another optimization in a lifespan that burns out before it can mature. You begin to feel the deep loneliness hiding behind the efficient smiles of this society. It is not that people do not want love. It is that they have no framework for it, no room, no chance, and even if they dared to try, they would be reminded, mercilessly, that time will betray them before their hearts can fully entwine. In a society where even love has an expiration date, what then defines your worth? If not connection or legacy, then what? The answer is chilling. Your value is measured entirely by your youth, and once that begins to fade, so does your place in the world. By now, you have felt it, that lingering tension in every conversation, the subtle glances that weigh your age like a liability. In this world, age is not respected, it is feared. And once you cross the threshold into your late 20s, you are no longer seen as someone with experience. You are seen as someone who is fading, someone who is almost done. This is a society that worships youth as the only currency that matters. It is not just a preference, it is a systemic doctrine. The economy, education, even friendships and romantic partnerships are all centered on one driving principle: younger is better. At 25, you are already considered old in many sectors. At 27, you are barely employable unless you are a high-output elite. And at 29, you are, for all intents and purposes, invisible. You walk through a recruitment facility where AI-run analytics scan applicants in real time. The building is sleek, efficient, buzzing with energy, but the cues are telling. Almost every applicant is under 20. Anyone over 25 is directed to a separate terminal marked Special Review. It is not an honor. It is a prelude to rejection. Those who are not rejected outright are rerouted into short-term projects with no advancement potential, often as trainers for younger replacements who are already being groomed to take over their roles. You observe a political summit being held in one of the core zones. Every delegate, speaker, and strategist is between 13 and 23. Their discussions are sharp, confident, and heavily reliant on data simulations. They speak about population quotas, resource management, and cognitive efficiency, as if they are running a simulation, not real lives. The idea of wisdom earned over time is mocked. One delegate scoffs, "Age is decay." The longer you wait to act, the more irrelevant you become. The others nod. Merit here is not built over a lifetime. it is proven instantly. Aptitude tests, emotional restraint, social influence, all are measured by machine in real time. Scores fluctuate hourly. If your creativity dips, if your performance lags, your rank drops, and so does your access to public services, living conditions, and digital privileges. It is not that society is punishing you for aging. It simply has no use for you. Even language has evolved to reflect this bias. Youthful is synonymous with correct. Mature is used sarcastically, often to describe someone who is considered outdated. You hear a conversation between two logistics interns. One says, "He's almost 28. The other gasps, "So why is he still leading a team?" There is no irony, no humor, just confusion that someone so close to their expiration date could still hold a position of influence. Marketing, too, has shifted. All advertising is geared toward the young, because there is no old market to target. Fashion is cyclical by the week. Memes die in hours. Entire social media platforms rise and fall within a year. If you cannot adapt to the pulse of the youngest minds, you vanish from relevance. And relevance, in this world, is survival. You try to offer advice to a small group of 19-year-old programmers discussing a flaw in their simulation model. You explain a workaround that, in your time, would have been praised. They listen politely, then dismiss your idea as chronologically biased. One of them smiles and says, "You think in long-term arcs." That model collapsed with the lifespan cap. You are not wrong. You are just too slow. The social consequences are even more brutal. Friendships evaporate when you turn 28. You are no longer invited to events. You are quietly removed from group threads. You are not hated. You are just filtered out. The system is not cruel. It is indifferent. It runs on logic, not sentiment. And according to that logic, aging is a liability no one can afford. This youth supremacy has created a dangerous monoculture of short-term thinkers. Everyone is hungry for now. No one thinks beyond 5 years because they cannot. It has led to bursts of innovation, yes, but also catastrophic blind spots. Environmental planning is a disaster. Infrastructure collapses are frequent. No one wants to build systems that will outlive them because nothing will. You watch as a 29-year-old designer quietly cleans out her desk. Her face is blank, composed. She has been one of the top contributors to urban planning for over a decade, but today, her access badge deactivates. Her workspace is already being reassigned to someone 15 years younger. She passes you on the way out and says softly, "My replacement shadowed me last month. She is 11. In this future, there is no reverence for age, no space for mentorship, no reward for endurance. If you cannot shine before 25, you will be extinguished by 29. It is not just a meritocracy. It is a race against your own biology, and the finish line is marked by a grave. But in a world stripped of time, family, and wisdom, where even love and age are liabilities, how do people find meaning? Many turn to something even more ancient than society, belief. Yet, in a world where death is guaranteed at 30, even religion has been reshaped. You find yourself drawn toward a district unlike the rest, quieter, darker, structured more like a sanctuary than a sector. Its architecture breaks from the sterile symmetry of the city, trading steel and glass for monolithic stone and soft lighting. These are the reflection temples, built not for worship in the traditional sense, but for existential processing. It has mutated. You step into the largest chamber, where circular rows of young citizens sit in meditation. At the center is an emulation orb, a glowing sphere projecting philosophical prompts and symbolic imagery. Instead of prayers, the youth recite programmed mantras designed to soothe the anxiety of a short life. These are not spiritual declarations of divine belief, but carefully engineered affirmations crafted by psychological AI. Faith has become a neurological treatment protocol. Traditional religions have fractured under the weight of the lifespan ceiling. In a world where no one makes it to 30, the promise of an afterlife is no longer a patient hope, it is a necessity. Yet, without elders to carry and protect ancient teachings, most religious traditions have been diluted, reinterpreted, or erased. Only fragments remain, scattered across various sects. You see glimpses of old symbols etched into digital walls, crosses rebranded as energy paths, lotus petals paired with code syntax, crescent moons looping into neural pattern spirals. The core messages have shifted. Eternity is no longer a distant heaven. It is the idea of being remembered by the system. You meet a guide within the temple, barely 20, dressed in ceremonial robes, fused with interface tech. He speaks with conviction. The end, he says, is not a punishment. It is a design. We are built to expire before we can corrupt. His faith is not in God, but in the idea that 30 is the natural endpoint of human purity. This doctrine, widely accepted, is called puritology, a belief system that claims aging is the root of decay, and that the early death built into humanity is a blessing meant to preserve innocence and prevent madness. It teaches that the soul peaks at 28 and begins to rot at 30. To live longer, they say, would taint the soul and pollute society. You walk through smaller rooms where people engage in simulation rituals. One experience mimics a death day, where users are invited to witness their own last hour in vivid VR, not as a warning, but as preparation. The program assures them it will be peaceful, painless, even transcendent. It is designed to eliminate the fear of death entirely. People exit the ritual calm, even smiling. Death is not just accepted, it is celebrated. Other sects are more radical. You encounter the Resonance, a group that believes memory itself is eternal, and that even brief lives echo infinitely through the quantum fields. Their churches are libraries of recorded personalities, fragments of individuals uploaded into digital echoes before death. Members do not fear the end, because they believe their minds will live on, played in loops, influencing future generations. Yet in practice, most resonant recordings are never revisited. The illusion of immortality is enough. You ask a 27-year-old philosopher if he believes in a soul. He laughs softly. "We do not have time to find souls," he says. "We optimize spirit." He explains that the soul has been replaced by a metric, a running total of one's intellectual output, social impact, and mental clarity. It is measured, tracked, and ranked. High scores earn posthumous emulation, your thoughts preserved in the public consciousness through AI-generated legacy statements. Low scores simply vanish. And yet, amid the quiet desperation masked as enlightenment, you notice cracks. A girl weeps silently in a soundproof booth, unable to reconcile her instinct to live with the religion that calls death a gift. A boy questions his purpose, now that he has peaked and only 2 years remain. You feel the pull of something deeply human, grief, resistance, hope. These are not glitches in the system. They are truths that cannot be programmed away. You stumble across a hidden gathering below the temple, cloaked figures, candles, silence. It is an illegal faith group preserving an ancient spiritual tradition untouched by system updates. They speak not of death, but of yearning. They pray not for acceptance, but for change. They believe that somewhere, somehow, the soul is not bound by numbers, that 30 should not be the end. In this world, religion has become a tool of sedation, philosophy, a mechanism of control. Both are used to numb the fear of a ticking clock. But beneath it all, the oldest questions remain unanswered. What does it mean to live a good life if it only lasts 29 years? What is the purpose of love, sacrifice, or legacy when there is no time to see them through? The answers are fleeting, but the questions burn stronger than ever. And as your time here stretches thin, the question becomes more personal. When society begins to erase you before your heart has even stopped beating, it begins with the silence. You wake up on your 29th birthday, expecting nothing to feel different. But the shift is immediate and unmistakable. Your apartment lighting is dimmer. Your neural interface greets you with reduced functionality, and several of your cloud privileges are gone. No warning, no explanation, just a quiet revocation. The system knows what day it is, and now, so do you. You have entered your final year, and in this society, that means you are already disappearing. You step outside and notice fewer notifications on your neural HUD. Your friends, those still in their early 20s, are not pinging you anymore. Conversations in social spaces pause when you enter. You still look the same, sound the same, think the same, but you are now marked by the invisible expiration hanging over your existence. At 29, you are not dying, but to the system, you are already dead. The erosion of access begins gradually. Your workplace demotes you to legacy transfer mode. You are no longer assigned tasks, only shadowed by someone younger, meant to learn from your decade of experience before you are removed. Your opinions are politely ignored. Your presence tolerated only because protocol requires a knowledge handoff. The new recruit following you is 15, bright, eager, and coldly aware that your value is fading with every passing hour. You attempt to apply for an extended housing lease. The system denies you. Post-expiry contract not permitted. You try to schedule a social gathering, your last birthday, maybe, but the social graph algorithm rejects the invitation. It says your emotional engagement ratio has dropped below relevance threshold. You are, quite literally, being phased out of human interaction, not from cruelty, but self-preservation. They are conditioned from childhood to avoid forming attachments to the dying. The social psychology of this world treats late 29 individuals as spiritual quarantines. Emotional closeness invites grief, and grief disrupts productivity. So, slowly, everyone steps away. Colleagues avoid eye contact. Romantic partners pause relationships. Even the AI that manages your daily schedule starts issuing you fewer motivational prompts. Your relevance score plummets. You try to fight it. You volunteer for mentorship roles, community service, creative work, anything to stay visible. But visibility is a privilege of the young. Your offers are archived, not accepted. Your ideas are praised and then buried. Even your likeness begins to fade. Public interfaces stop recognizing your biometric ID, your face, your name, your achievements. All of it becomes shadowed data, archived as terminal phase citizen. You enter a public plaza one evening, hoping to find solace in movement, in light. But the plaza has changed too. New banners celebrate a 20-year-old who just published a quantum resonance protocol. A hologram of her glows over the skyline. Your own name, once there for a similar innovation, is gone. No one notices. No one remembers. You are a ghost of relevance, still breathing, but drifting. And then the preparations begin. The system schedules your closure consultation. You are guided into a tranquil chamber with soft lighting and a synthetic voice that asks you how you would prefer to spend your final months. It offers 3 paths: emulation mode, where your cognitive profile is uploaded for potential memory legacy use; social easing, where you are given controlled detachment periods to prevent emotional collapse; and silent transition, where you are gradually removed from public spaces with privacy safeguards. You are also given your death day. Not a vague estimate, but a precise time. July 18th, 2096, 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 33 seconds a.m. You will go to sleep the night before, and your body will shut down in synchronized apoptosis. It will be painless, the system promises. A peaceful closing of your arc. You are given an optional party budget and a death day notification app that allows you to send farewell messages to friends 48 hours before the event. You can customize your goodbye, but none of it feels real. You walk through the city in the following days, your mind screaming while your voice remains still. The world continues spinning. Teenagers sprint to transit hubs, laughing. Ads beam with youth-focused products. Digital billboards flash slogans like "Live fast, shine bright, end clean." No one speaks to you. No one stops you. The world is moving on without you, already preparing to forget. You consider fleeing, disappearing into the unmonitored zones outside the grid. Some do. They vanish, hoping to escape the timer, live a few days longer, maybe even find one of the rumored black labs that promise survival beyond 30. But even that hope feels manufactured, like a fairy tale whispered to soothe dying minds. You feel the finality in your bones. You spend your last week in a memory archive pod, replaying echoes of your life. Moments of creation, of love, of laughter, all clipped, efficient, condensed into optimized bursts. None of it was slow. None of it endured. You realize you were always rushing toward an ending you could not outpace, and now that ending is here. But in the shadows of this clean, controlled system, whispers still circulate. Whispers of rebels who refuse to die, of scientists hiding in the ruins of forbidden labs, working to break the genetic curse. What if the countdown could be stopped? It happens subtly at first, a change in the ambient hum of the city's neural network, a flicker in the data stream that no one else seems to notice, but you do, because now, as your death day approaches, you listen more closely. And what you begin to hear is not system noise. It is something forbidden, something hidden beneath the polished surface of this dying society. There are rumors, whispered through encrypted exchanges and spoken in glances. They call it the Echo Protocol, a name erased from official databases long ago. According to the whispers, it is the last project ever to seriously attempt a cure for the age gap. The last scientific rebellion before the system classified life extension as existentially destabilizing. Some say it was dismantled. Others believe it went dark, underground, kept alive by defectors, outcasts, and heretics who refused to accept 30 as the limit. You trace the signal across city boundaries. moving through neglected districts where surveillance is weaker and social scores are less rigorously enforced. Here, the architecture cracks. The perfect symmetry of the inner city gives way to decay, abandoned education nodes, overgrown transit loops, and unused child optimization labs. It is here, beneath the ruins of a forgotten urban zone, that you find it, a door embedded in the concrete, glowing faintly with unauthorized power. Inside, you are met by people, older people. You stare, unable to believe what you see. Individuals with faint lines on their faces, subtle signs of cellular wear. A woman with gray streaks in her hair. A man whose eyes carry the weight of decades, not just years. They greet you with quiet caution, scanning you for loyalty codes and biometric corruption. Once you pass, they welcome you in. You are not the first to arrive in desperation, they explain. You will not be the last. This is the resonance cell, a remnant of the original Echo protocol, now operating in complete isolation. Its members are rogue geneticists, expelled ethicists, defected AI programmers, and above all, survivors. Most of them faked their deaths at age 30, vanishing with the help of the network. Others were born with rare mutations that resisted the timer, hidden by their families until they could escape. All of them have one mission: to undo what the world has declared final. The lead scientist, Dr. Alaris Venn, shows you the lab, a fusion of decaying biotech and bleeding-edge tools. Vats hum with gene therapy serums. Neural maps float in midair. They have been experimenting for over 30 years, trying to reverse the Eternate One sequence that initiated the global age cap. We were the ones who warned them, she says, before the rollout. They erased our data and called us unstable. But we were right. You ask the obvious question: why not share the cure? Why not end this now? Her face darkens. Because the system is built on death, she says. The economy, the social design, the philosophies, they all depend on predictable expiration. If we cure aging, we break the world. We cause chaos, panic, collapse. And yet, despite the danger, the cell continues, in secret, in sacrifice. They have tested experimental retrovirals on themselves, extended life by a few years, even pushed a handful of individuals to 35 before biological rejection forced a reboot. But every breakthrough is fragile. Every success temporary. The age cap is not just a switch. It is woven into the genome now, part of humanity itself. Undoing it is like trying to rewrite the foundation of life while standing on it. You meet others, youths who have fled their final year, refusing to die quietly. Some are terminally ill from failed treatments. Others live in constant fear of being found. The system sends retrieval drones to scan for age violators, marking them as social viruses. If caught, they are extracted for bioreintegration, a clinical term for euthanasia and organ recycling. Still, they fight. You ask Dr. Venn what drives them. Her eyes glisten. Because 30 is not enough, she says. Because somewhere in the silence, I remember my mother's voice. Her real voice, not a sim, not a recording, a voice that faded before I knew what she meant. I want someone to remember mine. There is a choice now. The resonance cell offers you a place among them, a treatment, risky, painful, unstable, but it might delay your death, might give you 1 more year, or 2, maybe more. But if you accept, you become a fugitive. You will never return to society. You will never be remembered officially. You will live in shadows, hunted, feared, and erased. You hesitate. not out of fear of dying, but out of fear of living alone. As you stare at the treatment chamber, you wonder, is it better to die in the light, remembered for what little you were allowed to be, or to live in the dark, risking everything for a future no one else will see? But whether you choose rebellion or resignation, the end still comes. And when it does, society gathers not to mourn, but to celebrate. Because in this future, even death is ritualized, clean, and on time. The date arrives without delay. No malfunctions, no reprieve, no miracle. July 18th, 2096, 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 33 seconds a.m. Your final hour, and this world is ready for it. Because in this society, death is not just expected, it is choreographed. As your clock winds down, you are assigned a transition liaison. They arrive promptly, dressed in soft gray with calm eyes and a voice designed to soothe. You are not alone, they say. You are valued, you are appreciated, you are ready. These words are not spontaneous. They are part of the departure script, a verbal sequence fine-tuned through thousands of focus groups to create the most emotionally neutral experience possible. It is not meant to comfort. It is meant to keep the system running smoothly. You are escorted to your Death Day celebration site, a designated farewell lounge tailored to your social profile. Some citizens choose to die in isolation, others surrounded by family pods or colleagues. But there is no grief, no mourning. Grief is considered an inefficient use of time. The ceremony is brief, beautiful, and hollow. You are the guest of honor, but only for a moment. The room is bathed in ambient light, calibrated to your neural rhythm. Gentle music plays, engineered to release endorphins while reducing pre-death anxiety. On a table, there are gifts, tokens from those who still acknowledge you. Most are AI-generated messages, formatted and approved by the state. A few come from real people, but they arrive through the system, not in person. Their faces are not here. Their hands are not holding yours. Then comes the farewell projection, a short holographic reel of your life, assembled by the archive AI. It plays highlights, workplace achievements, social interactions, a few laughs, some accolades. It is edited for maximum narrative clarity and emotional moderation. You feel like a character in a story that ended before it ever truly began. You are allowed a final message. You speak into the lens, trying to compress everything you have felt, every question, every regret, every moment of stolen joy, into 30 seconds. The system limits you to 50 words. After that, your voice is muted, and the interface politely thanks you for your service to humanity. Then, the room changes. The final countdown begins. You are taken to the transition chamber, a sterile, curved capsule fitted with biometric sensors and neural stabilizers. Your heart rate is monitored, your oxygen intake controlled. The euthanasia protocol is seamless. You lie down, the ceiling slowly closing above you, and for the first time, it feels real. You begin to wonder about the people who left before you. What were their last thoughts? Did they cry? Did they dream? Did they wish for more? But there is no one left to ask. In this world, memory fades as fast as people do. Outside, society continues. At exactly 4 hours, 12 minutes, and 33 seconds a.m., a soft tone is heard in the sky grids, a signal that your life has ended. Your name is quietly removed from public databases. Your pod is recycled for the next terminal phase citizen. No funeral, no burial, no grave. Just statistical deletion. Digital marquees flash. with the day's achievements. 40,000 successful transitions today. One banner reads, life expectancy compliance at 100%. No one mourns you. No one pauses. The system breathes in, breathes out, and moves forward. And yet, somewhere, maybe in the edge zones, maybe in a rogue backup server, maybe in the soul of another survivor, a fragment of you lingers. A thought, a moment, a word, the tiniest resistance against the clean end. Not enough to break the world, but enough to whisper. This was not how it was supposed to be. You are gone, and so is your chance. But for those still breathing in this world of dying clocks, the question remains, is survival really about beating death? Or is it about reclaiming life before the system ends it for you? You have seen the world. Not just its shining surfaces and accelerated wonders, but the cracks beneath its polished veneer. You have walked through cities without elders, met children with no childhood, witnessed careers built on borrowed time, and felt the suffocating pressure of love that must expire before it can begin. You have watched a society adapt to death by 30, as though it were a feature, not a flaw. And in doing so, you have learned the most terrifying truth of all. This world functions. It moves, it thrives, even, but it does not live. What makes us human, our depth, our growth, our connections forged over decades, cannot fit inside a life that ends at 30. A world like this strips away everything that makes time meaningful. Memory, legacy, mentorship, passion, and love that endures are all victims of a society that chose control over chaos, efficiency over evolution. It is not the shortness of life that breaks you. It is the denial of everything life could have been. You came here to survive, but survival in this future means becoming a cog, shedding your past, erasing your own soul, bit by bit. Yes, you could live out your 29 years in compliance, reach the end in perfect submission, but the cost would be unbearable. Because in the race to optimize every moment, this world has forgotten what it means to waste time on purpose, to linger in conversation, to rest in the arms of a loved one, to build something that will outlast you. And so, you return to your own time with a lesson etched into your bones. We do not need more time to be human. We need space. We need meaning. We need each other. Life is not about how long we live. It is about how fully we live it, knowing that our years are finite, but our impact is not. You will not survive in this world, not because your body would fail, but because your soul would suffocate. And maybe, just maybe, that realization is what might keep our own world from ever becoming this one. If this journey made you think, imagine, or reflect, then help others take the same trip. Like, share, and subscribe for more immersive thought experiments and deeply unsettling what-ifs from possible tomorrows. Comment below. Would you want to know the exact date of your death? Would you choose a shorter life in a perfect system, or a longer one in a messy world? Until the next ripple in the timeline, stay aware, stay human,